Okay, so the new Lodgement Program Framework. Essentially where it started was that the associations actually came to us and wanted a level playing field. So they wanted us to differentiate between those agents that do the right thing and those that don't. From an ATO perspective, that's exactly what we want to do also. You know, you guys are a professional industry. I mean, you know, you want to make sure that you don't have these agents that are doing the wrong thing, that are pulling your profession into disrepute. So on top of that, what we also did was that we had a look at the baseline levels of about 23,000 tax agents and how their on-time performance was. Now, to give you the ranges, we had 85% and above, 65 to 84, and below 65%. So 85% and above in the previous year, we only had 9,200 agents. Out of 23,000, that's all we had that were achieving 85% or more. So that was another concern for us. You know, that coupled with what the associations were asking us, we thought, well, we've got to do something here. Between 65 and 84%, we had 9,500, a few more than that. But below 65%, we actually had 3,400 agents that were below 65%. And, you know, quite frankly, we don't think that that's good enough. But this is something that we wanted to work with agents to see how we can improve it. And in many cases, what it needed was just a simple client cleanse. You know, a lot of agents have kept clients on their lists that haven't been in to see them for many, many years, that, you know, are further returns not necessary, for instance. So because of those things, we came up with a new framework, and the whole time it has been consulted with the Lodgement Working Group, which is made up of practitioners and agents and association members. So what we came up with was a benchmark, and what we thought was 85%. 85% seemed fair and reasonable. So what we looked at there was, well, look at previous lodgement programs. You know, I've only been here about 10 years, but even prior to that, I believe that there are lodgement programs where you had to get 80% in by January, for instance. So, you know, the lodgement program spread out over 11 and a half months is there to assist agents. You know, it's to spread your work. So we figured 85% was fair and reasonable. And the other thing, and just to go electronic, I'll give you some stats a little bit later, and I think that the electronic or the exclusive paper lodges have probably caused us the greatest number of headaches because they're very passionate and they don't want to go electronic. And yeah, I'll talk to you further about that, but I think you might be a little amused at the same time. So 2012-13, that was a transition year. Our whole intent for that year was just to essentially build the awareness, the understanding and the knowledge of what this new lodgement program was all about. So we weren't going to be marketing anyone, but what we wanted to do was actually establish these baseline levels, which we did on the previous year, but we wanted to see what improvements we had. And in this transition year, we offered a lot of support services. We offered the bulk client list deletion offer, so, you know, one form deleting multiple clients. We sent out lodgement performance summaries. So we sent out 4 of those, and what that actually highlighted, I think in December of last year we sent out the first one, and what that gave you was your on-time performance for the previous year. Now, next to that, what we also provided was similar size practices, so their average. And that average, we provided that as a simple behavioural driver, just so you could see that similar size practices, how they were performing. If you're above the average, great. If you're below, then you might be a little bit concerned or ask the question at least and say, well, why is that the case? We sent out 2 progressive email summaries through the year in February and April, and then in July, just gone, we sent out the financial year just gone, we sent out your performance there. And something new for the ATO is actually acknowledging agents, and don't anybody ever say that we don't give you anything, but those who achieved 85% or more would have received a certificate, yeah? Pretty good, huh? So, that's excellent. So look, the certificate was just an acknowledgement, and I mean, you know, well, were you the agent that actually said that you put it on the inside of your toilet door? No? All right, well, there was one of those as well. Look, we actually had a lot of positive feedback on that. A lot of agents actually said, you know, I'm really happy to put this at the front of my practice, you know, and reception. I want clients to come in and see, well, the ATO expects me to get 85%. I do that. Obviously, accuracy and things like that, we do samples to make sure that agents aren't just pumping it through and not actually doing the right thing. But invariably, you know, we've had really good improvements in that. We've got communication products we sent through. We developed a frequently asked questions. I'm interested in this to ask how many people have actually seen the frequently asked questions on our website. We've done so much marketing and communication here, you know. The frequently asked questions is there. This is what your peers were asking. You know, we got this from our call centres, from these discussion groups, from working with the Lodgement Working Group. We collated all of that, answered them, put them up on the web. We communicated that and said, have a look, because, you know, you may not even know the questions. Sorry? Come on now. I'm starting to understand how you got 85.
We're not getting your communication.
Really? We send it out through broadcasts, e-links, we've done podcasts, the performance emails. Have you received the emails? Yeah. Everybody should have got the emails, you know. I think we cleaned up email lists, and this was a good exercise for us, and we only have 408 that actually we didn't have the correct email address for, out of 23,000 agents. So if you didn't receive the email, then perhaps you deleted it 4 times, or you're one of those. So if you want, give me your email address at the end of this, and I'll get it done first thing Monday morning for you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh really? Yeah. Client.
And I had trouble with the link to get through in the first place.
Oh no. Yeah. Okay.
Don't mention the website.
I told myself if they start getting at me on the website, I'm just going to say, can you just excuse me for a minute? Yeah? And we'll see what happens from there. We had targeted campaigns. So remember the stat where I gave you 3,400 agents below 65%? We broke them up into 2 pools of 1,700. One was a phone campaign, the other one we actually got field visitors to go out. And the reason for that, we only went out to find out why. Why are you tracking below 65%? And invariably, that's the first thing we'll always do too. But I mean, we went out, found out what it was. Was it a matter of cleaning up your list? You know, have you had staff problems? Has there been an illness or a death? And in many cases, you know, that happens, and that really impacts your business. Anyway, so, you know, we did all of that, and then following that, we actually evaluated how we went for the transition year. Oh, it's probably a good idea for me to tell you the formula, yeah? I probably should have said that at the start. Sorry about that. So the formula is very straightforward. So what it is current year returns. So it's only current, yeah? Received by the due date or the deferred due date. You get deferrals accepted, then that becomes your new due date. That plus further returns not necessary, plus returns not necessary, they'll form your numerator. Beneath that, total client list. We pull that total client list as at 30 June. Okay, and that's that. That's as simple as it gets. That's how we calculate that. Now remember how I said only current year returns? So if you pull in a client, because it's been a common question, agents say, but I pull in these guys, you know, they've got 5, 7, 10 years outstanding, you know, I'm going to be punished here. We only look at the current year. So those 4, 6, 9 other outstanding returns are not counted in the calculation. Sure, if they come post 31 October, it's late. I get that. But 15% buffer, that's where 85% was considered to be fair and reasonable, because it gives you that buffer. If you have got a practice, however, that actually targets these types of clients, we'll take that into account. So if you happen to get a call, and we'll go through the treatment matrix later, but if you happen to get a call, you just say, no, my practice targets this. You have a look at how many clients I've pulled in. If you pull in 15% of your client list that are outstanding year returns, you know, well, there, it's shot straight away. But I'll tell you now, you will not be penalised in any way, shape or form. Yeah, your clients may, for not failing to lodge, of course, but I mean, for you guys, it won't impact. You know, we acknowledge that and we'll take that into account. Having said that, though, I did a presentation in Sydney, and I had this one lad who got very cranky, and he was telling me, this is not right. You know, I pull him in, and I still tell him it's only current year, and goes, doesn't matter, I pull these clients in. So I asked him, how many have you got on your client list? He said 400. I said, how many you reckon you've done like this? He said, 3. What do you say to that? That's 0.75 of 1%. So I guess all I'm trying to do with that is just put into context that, it's got to be quite a substantial number to seriously impact on your on-time performance. But we'll always check, first. We'll always come and talk to you first. So the results, 32.5% increase in the number of agents who achieved 85% or more. So hats off, well done. That's in a transition year, we're really happy about that. So that's a pretty big jump, and it does show that the communications were working somewhere, hey? Now what that equates to was almost 420,000 additional income tax returns received on time. And that's pretty substantial, So to get 420,000 is a few less than that, but we round it up because it sounds more impressive. But that's a really positive effect for us, and that's a positive outcome for everybody involved. As a percentage of total I returns, so what we've got, 81 to 85. But that includes expected lodgements as well in that figure, okay? If we were just to look at the actual returns lodged, that actually climbed from 83 to 92% on time, but that's just of the lodgements received. When you put expected, then, that comes into play. Electronic lodgement. This one's been the bane of my existence, and I'm hoping that there's nobody in here that's going to be in the last third of this population. But we went out to have a look at, there were 118 agents with greater than 100 clients who lodge exclusively by paper. If you're one of them, we can have a chat later if you like. But we went out to visit them in about April, May last year. And we told them about the transition, we said, hey, this is happening. Even what? We've even given this year now, we've given them an additional year. But come 1 July 2014, that's it. If they don't want to lodge electronically, you've got a due by date of 31 October. It's as simple as that. 2 years is enough, And we went out to talk to these guys. We had a third. A third of them said, I get it. We're going to transition to electronic. It makes sense. Accuracy, have current information there, being up to date, being able to use pre-fill, all of those benefits that come with it. Tax Practitioners Board, duty of care that you have to go electronic. There's multiple reasons. Government, all of business, society, everyone's going electronic. So this is the way that we have to go. Anyway, so the third said, I'm going to transition. Another third, and the Cecils and the Cedrics, and I'm not judging people if that's what they're named, but this is the age group that we're looking at with the names. So we actually had, we had a 92-year-old lady who's still lodging. But lovely lady. But how accurate are they? One of our guys went and saw somebody, an agent in Tasmania, and get this, and this is a kicker, And obviously there's not many like this, but went and spoke to this guy, and you know what he said? Oh, when did GST come in? What do you do? So you can see what's happening here. So this third that said that they're going to retire, we're saying, no worries, We're okay with that. And we will say thank you for your long years of service, and we have always said that because they really truly have. But hey, unless you're going to get up with it, then you're a risk for us. You're a risk for your clients. That's not fair to your clients. And then the last third, and this is the group that I was saying, so I hope there's no one in here, but they told us to get stuffed. Simple as that. So what do you do with that? So that 118, we've spoken to them, we've done what we can. We're down to about 70 now. And even with this, we've got them all on track. So, we know where they're at. And, we've had a number of complaints come in from these guys. They, the old typewriter, liquid paper. I'm not really making too much fun of them. It just makes for a funny story. But, they have serviced the industry for a long time. Anyway, so where we're at now, a 10% decrease in the number of registered agents who lodged all income tax returns by paper, and just over 20,000 fewer returns. So we had about 127,000 paper returns lodged last year. So this year just gone now, we've down to about 105,000. So we've still got this, and we've still got exclusions that not everything can be lodged electronically yet, and we are working through that. You know, our,
So you'd be getting a bit quicker with these paper returns, wouldn't you?
quicker. Paper returns, I think it's 6-8 week turnaround. Yeah, we're not going to hurry that. But, you know, with this group, archive tax file numbers, I was going to say, is an example, you know, so that's now we can go electronic with that. But there's a few other areas that we are transitioning them to electronic as well. New registered agents, they have to lodge electronic. That's a given. So they get an orientation 2 weeks after they actually register. It's this for active agents. And, you know, invariably what they say is, oh, I never even knew you could still lodge by paper. So, you know. Bulk client list deletion offer. So this was a cracker for us as well. So agents told us it takes a long time, you know, but they have to cleanse their list. We get that. And you can do it on portal, so one at a time. So what we offered was this one form. You know, download it off the website, lodge it through portal, and we'll remove multiple clients for you. We had 80, it says 8,000, we had 8,100 agents who took us up on the offer. 630,000 basically clients were removed. That's pretty large figures. Now, a common question that we've had is that agents have asked, well, what are you doing with these clients? You know, at least when they were on my list, we had access to them and we knew where they were. But I'll challenge that because I don't believe that in many cases you actually did. Many of these that have actually been removed have not been to see the agent for multiple years, many years. You know, the ones that give you a headache that never pay, yeah, absolutely. You know, you've got to run a practice at the end of the day. You're a business owner. But what we did, we actually broke it up into those that are likely due a refund, those that are likely to have to pay. And then on top of that, we also got rid of all the FRNNs and the RNNs. And we actually came down to just over 200,000 that actually had a requirement to lodge. We broke it up into those ways. We trialled it in April where we did a 30,000 mail out. We had a 22% hit straight away with these clients coming in. And, you know, these are clients that haven't been in to see agents or the tax office for that matter for multiple years in many cases. So having a 22% early was really good. We're doing more analysis onto, you know, how many more have come in since, and we're hopeful that there will be more there. So for the rest of the population, what we're doing is additional phone campaigns, additional mail campaigns. Those that have got incorrect addresses, we're actually sending them out to a tracing area within the tax office. And so we're addressing it. Those that we don't get in touch with, for whatever reason, go into our risk models, okay? So they get put into these pools and they get addressed through our normal compliance mechanisms. So we're pretty confident, and I'm pretty comfortable to stand up here in front of you and say that we are covering it. So you know what, if you're removing them, you know, give us a go at them basically, because the tax office still, even though I try to change that perception, is quite a scary beast. Deferrals. Deferrals is an area that we thought, well, let's just make sure that agents aren't using deferrals as a tool to actually get their on-time lodgement. So remember how I said it's current year returns by due date or deferred due date? So deferrals are there to be used for when agents actually need them. You know, you've got to have a reasonable reason to actually use them. So anyway, we did actually communicate that, and what we've done, the number of tax agents requesting deferrals reduced by 10% from the previous year, and the actual number of requests reduced by 17%. So, you know, that's been pretty good. And what we found was that there were quite a few that actually use the bulk deletion now. So previously what they may have done was actually, for all of these clients that they've now since removed, they've actually just blanket deferral requests. You know, so that's been a positive effect. And I think the deferral process has gotten better as well. But I know we've just had some recent focus groups with agents, so we're actually looking to put radio buttons in and just making the deferral process come back to you quickly rather than 4 weeks, yeah? Because it takes about 4 weeks for you to get notification of whether you've been accepted or not. Anyway, so these are all areas that we're not too far away from being able to implement, actually, just to make that process easier. Lodgement, with deferrals for this year, what we're actually looking at, if you have got greater than 100 clients and you requested greater than 10% of your total client base for deferrals, then you can expect a phone call or a visit. So that will be just why? What was your reason? We want to understand why you actually requested that number of deferrals. So it's as a proportion of your client size, yeah, of your practice size. So that's another area where we're starting to really target particular agents and particular topics and products. So lodgement compliance, remember how I told you about the 3,400, the two pools? We've seen a reduction of 10% number of agents below 65. But, you know, with that, I think what makes it a little bit different, the results are better than that. But what we found is that, you know, out of about 900 new registrations for active tax agents last year, a strong proportion of them are actually below 65. So they've come in last year. But as you can imagine, they're just taking over a practice, may have been a sale, you know, a whole practice transfer, whatever it may have been. So these guys are behind the 8 ball straight away. So even with new registrants, you know, we take that into account. But there's, of the about 900, it was about 85% actually that were below 65%. So it was actually really high. But I mean, in many cases, you know, a lot of them actually came in post 31 October. There were a variety of reasons, but anyway, what we're expecting is that those ones, and we are tracking those ones, is to see how they go for this year's performance. We're going to get into the treatment matrix in just a sec, but we've got 80 agents below 40% over multiple years. This is the area that we're going to be hammering, basically. And what we found, we had 138 agents below 40% for multiple years. Now, I'd like to think that if you thought 40%, below 40%, that's crazy. You know, how can you run a practice with those sort of lodgement figures? And what we found with this group, of this 138, we've actually gone out and visited them. And if we were unable to visit them, then they got a phone call, once again, to understand their situation, their circumstances. So we went out and talked to them. We got down to 80, and at the moment we're down to 47. So these 47, we've actually seen multiple years of 40%, or below 85% certainly, but below 40% for the bulk of it, and some of them have jumped up to about 50%. Still not good enough, and particularly with multiple years. Now these guys have also got poor compliance. So they've got multiple areas that we are concerned about as the tax office. So they're the ones that are actually going to be going on our guided lodgement program. So this actually started this month. So they are about to receive a letter, and they've already been told, because they did get a visit. So these guys go onto a managed program. So they're going to be told by us how many lodgements they have to get in by what month. And this is going to be every month. We're also trialling a new way to communicate to them, and there's that word again, but secure messaging through the portal. So we're actually going to be dealing with them through this medium as well. So these 47, if they don't meet what we set out for them for the year, we take the lodgement program off them. We're not going to apologise for that either, because there's been multiple interactions with them. They've been given multiple opportunities. If they're engaging with us, great. If we can see that they're doing what they need to do to actually, you know, bring it all on board and try to get back up to a suitable level, then great. But if they're not, then remember what I told you earlier about the level playing field. We have to differentiate between those agents that do the wrong thing and those that do the right thing. So these 47, that's what's happening. We've sent them off to the Tax Practitioners Board as a watch list. Tax Practitioners Board cannot deregister them just for on-time lodgement, obviously. But I mean, this is just to let them know that we're looking at this group of agents. And if they have got agents own, if they've got multiple compliance issues, cash economy issues, all of those raft of things, then it may get to a stage where TPB will actually step in. But once again, I do stress, it's only as a watch list, you know, just so that they're aware of what's happening. And obviously we are working with them to let them know exactly how lodgement program is going and what we intend to do. So, for everybody else though, if you can see, it's a pretty simple matrix, yeah? It's a treatment cycle that we figure, if you're 85% or more, you'll get that certificate. And it is highly sought after. Following that, you'll get a warning letter. You can see the guided lodgement program warning letter. contact face-to-face, guided lodgement program, second warning letter and visit, guided lodgement program. I'd just like to say that please don't look at it and think, oh yeah, I can push the ATO to this point. Do you know what I mean? You know, so I'm willing to accept the consequences in the first 2 or 3 that are close to 85, and then I'll do something about it. Don't, please. You know, we'll be tracking all the ones below 85. We track, so we'll be monitoring to see how your performance is going. So look, guys, there's links that should work. If they don't, my name is Tom. We've got a few areas here that what we're going to be focusing on, but essentially, all that we're asking for is to see improvement. If you're at 60 for the last year, and then you go to 61, come on. But I mean, if you are improving reasonably, then great. We're going to be happy with that. If you go backwards, then you can expect a call. Yeah. And once again, we will always come out to understand why first. We'll always ask why. You know, have you gone backwards? Why have you not achieved the 85%? Yeah.